Here we are with Coco Bananas having a banana. Oh, look at her. That's a good weasel. She wants to take that banana and run away, so we're going to let her. We're going to do the chain rule. Chain rule, chain rule. Got to know this thing. Got to know it. So, chain rule, here's the formula. You guys got that formula. But the emphasis, remember, it's f prime. G of x on the inside, unchanged, and then times g prime of x. So you got to spot when to use chain rules when you have a function of a function. It means there's something going on and it's inside of another something. So let's take a look at some examples, nice and slow. So here's the derivative with respect to x of cosine of, that's cosine of the quantity x squared plus 2x plus 3. So the outside function is the cosine. The inside function is x squared plus 2x plus 3. So the chain rule says to do this, you take the derivative of the outside function, inside unchanged. Well, the derivative of cosine is negative sine. So you got that negative sine x, that's easy. And you got the inside unchanged, that's easy. But then it's times the derivative of the inside. Derivative of x squared is 2x. The derivative of 2x is 2. The derivative of 3 is 0. Now, the book and normal people will write the 2x plus 2 along with a minus sign out front because it keeps, let's say, the undereducated people from thinking they can multiply these two things. Well, let's see. Would you multiply these two things? Would you multiply this polynomial times that polynomial? And she says, no, I would never do that. That's a good weasel. That's a very good weasel. All right, let's see what we got here. Another example. This time it's the derivative with respect to x of sine x plus tangent x inside of a square root. Pretty easy to tell who is the inside here. Sine x plus tangent's the inside. The outside is the square root. Square root is 1/2 power. So we've got the 1/2 comes down. Sine x plus tangent x to the negative 1/2 because I'm taking the derivative of the outside. Inside unchanged. Times the derivative of the inside. The derivative of sine x is cosine x, isn't it? And the derivative of tangent x is secant squared x. So we're done. The book might write it like this. The book might say, hey, look, I've got a negative exponent and a 1/2. They might just write it as cosine x plus secant squared x all over 2 square root of sine x plus tangent x. They might write it like that because they've already got a fraction that they have to write. They have to write this 1/2. Well, if they're going to write a fraction, they may as well just put everything where it belongs. And there's the weasel. Okay. Next up. I'm going to move this camera just a little bit. See if we can get the rest on here. All right, here we go. Derivative with respect to x of 5x plus 4 to the third. Outer function is this third function, third power. Inner function is the 5x plus 4. So the derivative says the 3 comes down. The 3 comes down. Inside unchanged, second power, times the derivative of the inside. But I have a 3 times 5. So the book answer is going to have this 15 out front. And then the rest of it, 5x plus 4 to the second power. Last one. Last one. Last one. Oh, okay. Derivative with respect to x of sine squared x times cosine x. So I said times. This means it's going to be a product rule. We're going to have a product rule. We're going to have a product rule. And that means that I'm going to have 2 sine x times cosine x. So it's 2 sine x to the first times the derivative of sine x, which is cosine x, times this other cosine x. And then this next one, I did a pro move. I saw I would be taking the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine x. Oh, and it's negative sine x times 2 more. Sine squared times negative sine x is negative sine to the third. I saved myself some writing. And now I notice I've got a sine x in common. So it's sine x times 2 times cosine squared, because this is cosine times cosine. I should write that as 2 times cosine squared instead of cosine squared x times 2. But that's 2 times cosine squared minus the sine squared x. The sine squared is still being multiplied by the single sine x out front. If you wanted to, write it with the sine x factored, that didn't really matter. So from Coco Bananas and I, learn your chain rule. Learn your chain rule. So there she is. There's the cocoa bananas.